The light of day has not seen the inside of this box for over 40 years. In this video, I am going to be unpacking a brand new dual turntable, model number CS608. This is from 1981. This is a brand new turntable from 40 years ago. Now this isn't the base model. This actually included was the upgraded package with the actual stylus. So normally in 1981, you would have bought this for about $219 on its own. Now remember, this is made in Germany. Back then, turntables were made in actual other countries besides China. And in this case, this one came out like this from Germany. This one included an Ornifon stylus. Now we're going to read this on the box because it's got its model number right here. When we turn this around, we're going to see right here, it's very faded. $110 back in 1981. It was the TSK55E. Now that included the cartridge and stylus assembly, which normally did not come included. Now back then you also had to do some assembly work. So when we unpack this, I expect to be putting some pieces together. Now this has never been opened. It did get cracked here. So it did get a crack on the top. Now this comes from an estate sale. This isn't the only turntable we got from an estate sale. We actually got more and we'll be unpacking those soon. Still factored on this side and here. A little bit of spoilage in the actual tape color here. Might have gotten humidity, might have gotten wet, oily. We're not sure. We'll find out when we get inside. Somebody may or may not have stepped on the box. Wasn't me. When we get to the bottom, still all the original factory tape. It is cracked on this side. Matches the crack on the other side. So not too sure exactly what happened there. But the light of day has not seen the inside of this box for over 40 years. That's what we're going to be talking about today. That's how we're going to open it today. We're going to start with an actual knife on top. I think we're going to cut it here. This is very intense. This is very exciting. Now, this dent here, I mean, I tell you, this is the only thing that worries me because this is a beautiful turntable. I've looked it up online. Dual still sells turntables, by the way. For the longest time, Dual stopped selling turntables. So here we go. This is only going to happen once. So we're going to just slice into it right here. Look at that. Oh, you can hear the fibers cutting. We just cut 40-plus-year-old fibers in there. Here's the name. Now there's two layers of tape. So anybody who's really like paying attention is going to say, wait a minute, there's not. So first of all, we don't own any Dual tape. I'm going to assume because we're in Canada that there was probably a CSA sticker applied to this. A lot of electronics back in the day, including still now, gets opened, stickered, and put back in. Or maybe the cartridge that had to be added to the box was added after the fact. Who knows? Depends on where things get shipped around the world. You know, in 1980s, things happen differently, right? So here we go. We're going to, let's spin it around. Let's make sure everybody sees the model number and the serial number. Serial number of this box, by the way, is 013522. Whatever this means, I do not know. T632. Maybe we'll find out when we open the box. And again, TKS55E. That's what we got. So again, 40-year-old turntable. And we're going to cut this and look inside for the first time. Here we go. There you go. That's what it sounds like to cut into a 40-year-old box. So now we're going to open this up. Let's make sure we get everybody. Here we go. Is this not the most awesome thing? I mean, you know, you open brand new boxes all the time. And it's like, you've got to do it a second time. Just get another box or, you know, reseal it. This is not, you cannot do this twice. This is not going to happen twice. So here we go. We are now inside the box. We are now inside the box. There we are. Now the box is, it's settled. Look at this. There's a big cavity here on top. Oh, look at that. We didn't look at the bottom. Look at that. There's sponge on the bottom of this. Ooh, that sponge is not very spongy anymore, is it? It's like, you can almost hear a crinkling sound. It doesn't fall apart though. I mean, that's pretty good for 40-plus-year-old foam. And the fact that it's still attached to the actual box, you can actually pick that up like that. That is actually quite impressive. This is like looking at a 40-year-old newspaper. Look at there you go. That is our warranty card. Now remember, I said the turntable alone, $220 back in 1981. If you convert that into today's money, you're looking probably at around 1,200 bucks. Inflation and all that kind of stuff. You know, 40 years later, that's what happens, right? I mean, something that cost $220 back then is around $1,200 today. If you add the stylus This thing then turns into a whopping $1,500 investment in today's money. That's just for a turntable. And remember, Dual, though Dual was an absolute household name, you didn't go play your records on your turntable when you went home. If you owned a Dual, you'd let people know. You say, oh, you know, it's Thursday, it's payday, man. You got paid. You went to the record store, you went and bought yourself a new record. Then you turn around and say, I'm going to go home and play that on my Dual. That's what you'd be doing. Bringing home Pink Floyd, playing it on your Dual. That's what you would tell people. It was actually, you called it as you saw it. You didn't say I was going home playing on a record player. That's what you do with the other brands. If you owned a Sony, you didn't go say, I'm going home and play it on my Sony. No. You went home and played it on your Dual. Again, there were other brands that were better, but this was like the household name. This was like the, oh, look at me. I've got a Dual. And then other people would go like, ooh, look at that guy. He's got a Dual. There we go. This is going to be the cover. Look at that. It's going to be covered now. For some particular reason, they have a little sticker that says 15 on it. If anybody knows why there's a 15 actually on the sticker, it looks like a price gun with a 15 on it. Leave it down in the comments down below. What do you think this 15 means? It's on the plastic covering over the cover. Drop in the comments. Why would they put a 15 here? I mean, that's a number. You wouldn't expect that. Let's take that off of there. There you go. That's awesome. Here's the impressive part. I mean, is it going to be frosted? Is it going to be clear? What is this going to look like? Oh, look at that. It's clear. Now, people ask me, you know, should I get a new turntable? Should I get a used turntable? I mean, I'm always into buying used gear. But man, there's one thing about buying a used turntable. You got to have your own story. So like, I can tell you stories about why this is the most awesome thing to own. I mean, you know, everybody's got to have your own story. And the only way you can get a story today is if you actually go out to the bazaars, go out to the flea markets, go out and find yourself a turntable. Don't just go buy one on Kijiji or Craigslist or something like that. I mean, you can do that. You can eBay it. Of course you can do all that. But really, is that what you want? You know, you're not going to have a story. You got to have yourself a story. That is a serious, you know, when they say, oh, you know what, this particular model did not have a heavy turntable. That is BS. This is way heavier than anything you pick up today. Most of the time you're picking up stuff today, it's either really a small amount of aluminum. This is crazy. That is a big heavy rubber mat on top there. Look at that. Tape's a little faded. The grips are still there though. It's still tacky after 40 years. And there we are. That's the table. So there's a big rubber mat. We'll see that again, of course. We'll put that on there. Look at that. That is a solid weight. The center mass has been actually pop riveted in place. Everything is all set up. Look at this. There's a secondary weight applied to the bottom. This is nuts. Look at that. That's crazy. And all these pivots here, all these are so this we can line up your speed on it. So we're going to take that out. We're going to put that there. All right, here's something super cool. That is for a 45, so we can play our 45s off of that. We're going to have that right there. Under here, look at that. That is a nice, look, what a pretty counterweight. Figured that one out, how to put that on nicely. Oh, here we go. We're going to see a little bit of aging here. So far, the only thing that hasn't aged properly is, well, the rubber band they use around the actual power cord and grounding wire. It's usually a common ground, so there's a grounding wire there. There's the RCA cables, power cord. This is actually a lot heavier than I expected it to be because they tell you, you know, there's always, you know, even back then, this was an average model. So there you go. We're going to turn this on a 45 and we're going to get this out of here. Look at all these attentions and warnings. Look at that. English is the third language on the box. It's not even the first one. These are companies who make straight up. So you can do this back in the 80s. You can have full out statements. This merchandise was in perfect condition when packed and shipped. Damage in transport should be reported to the delivery courier at once and a claim made with them. Don't mess with the manufacturer. Our guarantee only covers defective. See, even 40 years ago, when translating from another language, they didn't put defective materials and faulty products. It's defective with a V. So there we go. Let's take down our made in Germany box. And here we are. Here's the turntable in its own styrofoam custom. Now that is a custom block, by the way. Look at the shape of that. Let's get this off. Here we go. There's one. Now remember, I mean, we're talking about turntables here because this is like somebody who just likes cool cars. This is like somebody who likes really awesome motorcycles. I'm not a turntable engineer. I'm not a mechanic. I leave that for other people. So very impressive on this turntable is the actual arm's been pre-assembled for you. It's all done. It's all in here, all ready to go. And now all we have to do is final assembly. Now this is a direct drive. So they want me to take these guys out. These are transport screws. Can you imagine how many people would actually miss that today? And so here we are. We've got these 3 transport screws that are in this actual turntable. So we do have to remove these 3 right here. This is really what's happening. Again, could you imagine today how many people would, like, you know, you got yourself your iPhone got delivered and you got to remove some, you know, transport screws. This is coming off. This makes it all ready to go. This is now for the first time on its own. This actual platter is carried on its own weight. In the early 80s, like this one here, they really wanted to show off getting rid of the wood. No more wood, no more wood. We want to have something better. And they went with this sophisticated high-tech composite of plastic, which today we go, what? This should be like all brushed aluminum. They're always brushed aluminum, that kind of stuff. No, let me break it to you. The bottom is wood. Bottom's made out of wood. Yep. And that's your heavy weighted base, is the wood base at the bottom. Everything else is really nice, but it is plastic. It is plastic. That is just the way it is. So if I busted somebody's bubble there, I'm sorry. That this slot faces downward, so you face that down because that lines up everything else. Then we can actually tighten this on here. Let's put the platter on now. And again, all of this inside of here, this is all just to make everything mechanically work properly. And I'm sure there's a lot going on. And until we actually get this going, we're not going to know the full extent. So there are things happening. So that's where they tell you about the fuse. Look at that. They literally line things up with the holes so you can see what's going on underneath. Then we have our pad, which goes right on top of there. Look at that. We do get a cover to go on here. So let's see what it looks like with the cover on. We may be taking the cover. The cover is going to line up with this here, by the way. There's a groove, a slot, a thing right there for this to hang on to. Is that not? Look at that. It's not rubbing on anything, but you do hear it. You hear it when it goes down. Now I'm sure if I figured out where those points were, maybe after 40 years that needs to be slightly lubricated. But there we go. This is up. This is down. Wow. And you know, a lot of people don't even bother. A lot of people don't even bother with the covers on these things. So there you go. So now we're going to plug it in. Let's plug it in and actually see what happens when we plug it in. Will it work? Here's the power cord. Is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, when I had my showroom, I had a turntable set up in the showroom. And it had this record on it, and unfortunately somebody wasn't paying attention to what somebody else's kid was doing, and the kid thought it was a DJ table, and he came in and just took the actual needle and just drove it back and forth on the record. So I have one of these sides of one of these records absolutely ruined. And if my records are a little dusty, it's because they actually get used, and I'm horrible at putting them back away, especially when I had the actual showroom, because back then, back then it was common that I would just put a record out and leave it out. So yes, I'm taking the cover off again. Because why have that on? I should just do this, right? I just rub it on my shirt. Yeah, that's what we should do. Just rub it on the shirt. So first, there's our release. Okay, so now we know, it's confirmed. This unit will turn itself on, auto start, just like that. Okay. So I'm going to say this has got to be very important because this has been marketed everywhere on the product. So it's a ULM series electronic direct drive. It must be important. It's on everything. Plus, the actual made in Germany on this model is actually molded into the plastic. It's actually molded into the machine. It's not just printed there. It is literally molded right in. It says made in Germany. Not to be confused with something not made in Germany. So on this stylus, we're going to turn this up. Now remember, you can still get these styluses or today's version of it. This rig here is easy $110 investment, if not more today. I mean, compared to current value. So are we weighted right? Well, we're going to find out. So we're up high. We're going to let it down, see what happens. Either it's going to sync on the record or it's not. I'm assuming I still don't have this right. Everybody wants to know. 40 years. this table is pretty much flat. Though my record's got a high spot on it. The actual turntable, nothing. It's perfect. This is why you go out and find yourself high quality, original, classic turntables. You've got a pitch control right in the front, and you've got the ability to adjust it right here. So if I want to, I'm gonna have to actually control this. I need to adjust it. What I'm shooting for here is to make sure that everything I see is right on the mark. And that it is. Why am I not playing this record today? Because I'll get a copyright strike off of that. Thank you very much, YouTube. But Guardians of the Galaxy is a great record because it is just full of great tracks. It's a double vinyl set, and that music just plays off great on here. All set, ready to go. This is beautiful. Again, the quality and craftsmanship is just amazing. You know, for something they call a mid-line product. So if we go and put the cover on here, this is important. So we're gonna put I know the record is still spinning. It's raised though, the needle's up. We're not doing this with the needle down. Again, we're treating this like I'm a salesman in the 1980s. When you open up this manual, you get a picture of your entire turntable on this side here. And then on this side, you flip the page until you find English. In my case, I found English. If you wanted Dutch or German, you just go there. And then you basically would reference the instructions to the turntable. So you'd see the numbers here, you'd see all that here, and look how big it is. It's unfolded just like that. I mean, how many manuals today are like the size of, like, you know, business cards? There you go. Everything you need to know in a book. Just close that all up. That's beautiful, beautiful. There's an entire added manual just for the actual stylus and cartridge that came included, because this was an upgraded model. So this was added to the manual just for customers who bought this particular package set. This coming with the Dual TKS55E pre-installed at the factory, which is good, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. So there you go. Nothing broken, nothing out of place, nothing but solid joint. 40-year-old turntable, brand new in the box, no more. It is now my turntable. It now shall be here, and until I get bored with it. That being said, we've got 2 more turntables to do. So if you really like to see how this turntable is, I will do a comparison with some of the other ones, but stay tuned. There's another one to come. But this was awesome.